Back at it again for another Monday. I am Dan Kuntz. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. It is Monday, the 20th day of May, 2019. My 4-day weekend is in the books. I hope you had a good weekend. Thanks for starting your day and your work week with us here. Of course, next weekend is Memorial Day weekend. Right now, that forecast doesn't look too bad. The unofficial start of summer. It's a little bit farther down the road than we can really accurately predict. When I say we, I mean the National Weather Service. I'm not a meteorologist, but we'll do a weather forecast. It's a little bit of everything. We're going to be on a real roller coaster this week and have some clouds and some showers. We're going to have some sunshine and mild temperatures as well. Forecast details are coming up. Thanks for Eric Granstrom for filling in for me on both Thursday and Friday. In fact, Eric was pretty much a one-man show on Friday. I was off. I was golfing in Spokane with my friends, and Grant, our beloved news anchor, well, our news anchor anyway, Grant was attending a family function in beautiful Montana. So Eric had to pretty much do the whole news on Friday himself, and he did yeoman's work, I might add. But the whole crew is back at it here on this Monday. Great show for you. We got all the news that you need that happened over the weekend. Also sports, lots of sports. Congratulations to the Chelan boys baseball team. They made it to the Final Four. We'd like to hear that. Brewster baseball team made it to the Final Four. Prep sports wraps up this weekend. Then it's all said and done, and the entire prep sports calendar year that began in August comes to a close this weekend. We'll talk about a lot of sports, and the Mariners finally won a game from Minnesota. We also have the obscure holiday. We got birthdays today in history. Everyone is entitled to Mike McNally's opinion. Second half of the show today is World Bee Day. World Bee Day, and I'm not talking about the letter between A and C. I'm talking about honeybees, our good friends. We gotta keep the honeybees up and going and happy. And two of my favorite people, well, Jane anyway, one of my favorite people. Jane Peak is our local director of First Impressions here at the Broadcast Metroplex. She and her husband Stan are amateur beekeepers. They do it as a hobby. And I said, Jane, why don't you come do the show on Monday? So Jane and Stan Peak will be here to talk all things bees on this World Bee Day. All right. Good to see I didn't get canceled. I guess we'll move on with our views around the Wenatchee Valley, courtesy of Localtel's Sky-Fi high-speed wireless. Our camera that always begins is our 4K camera at the very tip of Wenatchee Heights, located adjacent to the Cross. So we call it the Cross camera. And still, the Columbia River is running high and it's running cold. And we did get some much-needed rain at times over the weekend. Of course, the big rain story was Thursday. We set record rainfall on a Thursday. I think it was 0.21, almost a quarter of an inch of rain on Thursday, but it's still not enough to get us out of this mini drought that we're in. We're still behind where we should be as far as average rainfall. Going to get a little bit of rain this week. We needed the rain on Thursday. I was in Spokane on Thursday night when that just wild rainstorm came flying through. It was absolutely insane. And then it rained in Spokane all day Friday. I wasn't here. I don't know what the weather was like here in Wenatchee over the weekend. Beautiful view, and we're still pretty green as we're getting deeper and deeper into May, and June is not that far away. Camera 2, where are we off to, Megan? We're going to pay a visit to, she's going to throw me in. Oh, no, wait a minute. I want to say that's the Manson Water Tower. Hey, I got it right. That's the Manson Water Tower. Good for me. I like that. There's actually two water towers fairly close adjacent to each other, and both of them have cameras on them. So those folks in the Manson area can get high-speed internet without having fiber. You can almost see the state park and the beautiful cabins, not only located on the south shore, but on the north shore of Lake Chelan. That's a beautiful view from the Manson area. Camera 3. Let's see if she's going to throw me for a loop. No, I know that one. That's the Apollonie's camera overlooking beautiful Kashmir. It's a nice view there. We call it the Apollonie's camera. It's on that hillside up above the Apollonie's complex. You can see almost Kashmir almost in its entirety. You can see Mount Kashmir, Steins Hill, plain into view, beautiful downtown Kashmir. You can see the park and the Riverside Center. That's a gorgeous view. And of course, lots and lots of orchards just hanging around and growing. Of course, we always hope for all of our local agricultural people, not just the orchardists who are growing the apples and the cherries and the peaches and the pears, but the wheat growers and all those good folks. Still the backbone of the economy in this neck of the woods. Camera 4. Our last go-round is a shot of, that's the Two Rivers camera. Good morning, Lake Wenatchee. Boy, it looks kind of foggy and ominous up there. That's looking right down the Wenatchee Valley. If we turn it around, of course, you'd be looking up the White River Valley. And that camera, that tower is way up there. It's like 300 feet in the air. And this is one of the great selling points of the Sky-Fi system. A lot of people have cabins in the Lake Wenatchee area, and most of those cabins, of course, are shoreline based. They're as close to the lake as can be allowed, and then all you got to do is be able to look up to the top of the lake, and if you can physically see it, you can get screaming high-fast internet without even having fiber run to your cabin. It's a beautiful thing. Look at the fog and the clouds there at Lake Wenatchee. That's a cool view. I could just look at that all day. They're all cool views. That's what we love about our little tours around the Wenatchee Valley. Thanks very much, Megan. It is 6 minutes after the hour. From the National Weather Service, we hope we have the forecast for you. It was having a heck. Hey, we got it. It was not behaving well, but it's back. Pretty typical day today, kind of like the weekend. It's going to be cloudy, high of about 69 degrees. We are going to warm up, as you see. We do have a pretty good chance of rain, not today necessarily, but certainly tonight. Chance of rain today is only 20%. That goes up to 50% tonight. That high today of 69, just a little bit below normal. We hit 69 on Saturday and 72 on Sunday, which is just about normal for this time of year. So 50% chance of showers tonight, 50% chance of showers on Tuesday. As you see, the sun is taking today and tomorrow off. It's going to be increasing clouds today and then very cloudy on Tuesday, but Wednesday, things aren't looking too bad. By the middle of the work week, partly sunny, should be dry, high of 77 degrees. Partly sunny Thursday, bump you up one more to 78. Little system comes in Friday and into Friday night, so partly sunny Friday into Friday night. We'll top off at 77. We'll cloud up Friday night with no rain, 57 for the overnight low. But look at the weekend, which again is Memorial Day weekend, and we'll have a fairly accurate idea by Wednesday night what we're really looking at for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, Memorial Day weekend. But right now it looks good. Sunshine Saturday and a high of 78, sunshine Sunday and a high of 83. Again, best chance of rain for the Wenatchee Valley tonight, spilling into Tuesday, and then another slight chance of rain on Friday, spilling into Saturday, and outside of that, the sun will be up, and we'll warm back up to above normal temperatures. So that's your forecast from the National Weather Service. Just about 8 minutes after the hour. Before we take a break and come back with the news, special thanks to our friends at Confluence Health on board Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Our good friends at Confluence Health. I'll be interviewing Dr. Clark, as a matter of fact, from Confluence Health tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Confluence Health, dedicated to providing safe, high-quality care for everybody throughout North Central Washington. We'll be right back.
When the people you serve are your friends and family, you see the world a bit differently. You understand that your survival depends on the health and strength of your relationships. Your word is your reputation, and that doing the right thing is the only way of life that matters. At Confluence Health, we remain humble. Trust is a gift that is earned, a privilege, an honor. And we remain grateful for the trust you place in our hands.
Hi, I'm Jim Heinlein, agent here at Senior Insurance Services of North Central Washington, where we like to teach our customers how to shop and compare from all the Medicare options. Now, a lot of folks will come in and tell me, Jim, I'm so confused about all these choices. In fact, there's 21 reasons you can join a Medicare plan. But we want to focus on the specific plan that's right for you. So if that's what you need, give us a call at Senior Insurance, 888-2600, or visit one of our 5 locations.
We're back. Overcast skies, 53 degrees outside of our studio. Some light rain possible this afternoon. 50% chance of rain tonight, spilling into Tuesday. Pretty cloudy Tuesday. Then the sun will come back on Wednesday and will stay fairly sunny throughout the rest of the week, starting Wednesday right into the weekend. And here's us making headlines on this Monday. No word yet from Wenatchee Police on possible arrests in connection with a Friday night shooting in a Wenatchee neighborhood. This shooting, nobody is injured, by the way. This is according to the police. It happened around 8:30 in the evening. Police responding to multiple reports of a fight involving several young males in the 500 block of South Franklin Street. Captain Edgar Reinfeld says there were also reports of 2 shots fired in the air. No subsequent reports over the weekend. We'll have more on this in the evening news tonight at 5 o'clock. Well, an old toaster may have ruined the toast, but luckily it didn't ruin a home in Chelan. This happened on Friday morning at about 6:43 when Chelan Fire and Rescue got the call from a homeowner who reported that smoke was filling their home and everybody had evacuated. When the firefighters arrived, they found a malfunctioning older model toaster had caused the problem. Firefighters then got the toaster out of there, as you might imagine. This was in the 100 block of Robinson Street. They cleared the smoke and then they turned the home back over to the residents. By the way, firefighters also discovered there were outdated and not working smoke detectors in the house while they were there. They replaced all those that were not working. Well, Steve Lacey may be leaving as mayor of East Wenatchee, but he's not done, ready to retire anyway from public service. Lacey last week filed as a candidate for commissioner of the Douglas County Sewer District. He's going to challenge the incumbent commissioner, Greg Peterson, in the upcoming election this fall. Peterson was appointed last summer to fill the unexpired term of Commissioner Mike McCourt. Mike McCourt, of course, resigned the position after he pled guilty to child sex abuse charges. Lacey is stepping down as mayor of East Wenatchee since holding the post since 1998. He says he's ready to move on to a new challenge.
Not exactly retiring. I'm leaving the city after 21 years because I have other goals, personal goals. Basically wanted to free myself up in terms of ability to be gone for longer periods, and I didn't think that would be conducive to running a city, which requires basically a lot of my time and availability. Whereas the sewer district position, it seems to me, would still require some time, but not to such an extent. And over the course of my tenure as mayor, I have always thought, as people know if they look at the record, that we needed better coordination between the sewer district and the other jurisdictions in Douglas County, specifically the county and the city. So my hope is that being on the Sewer District Commission, I could facilitate some of that.
The filing period ended at 5 o'clock last Friday. For a complete list of all the candidates who have filed in Chelan, Douglas, and Grant counties, you can simply go to our website at ncwlife.com. Cascade School District's going to formally dedicate the completion of their new high school tomorrow. A dedication ceremony and ribbon cutting slated for tomorrow evening in Leavenworth. The event will include self-guided building tours. It's a $25 million high school expansion and remodel. It includes a new 2-story academic wing, new offices, a new kitchen, a 500-seat auditorium, and upgrades to the existing 2 gymnasiums and the locker rooms. Liddig Construction was the general contractor. Tomorrow's dedication starts at 6 o'clock at Cascade High School. For the 10th year in a row, the Women's Service League of North Central Washington held their annual Touch a Truck event that happened Saturday on the campus of Wenatchee Valley College, and our cameras were there.
We are at Wenatchee Valley College, and we are Women's Service League of North Central Washington putting on our annual Touchy Truck event. Touch a Truck is an event where we bring together vehicles, whether they're construction or emergency vehicles. We bring together nonprofit booths. We have businesses that are supporting us, and we bring them all together, and kids and their families come and climb on, honk horns, as you can hear, play games, just all sorts of different things. It's a great one of the fundraisers that we do each year. And so, yeah, we're here just having fun touching trucks. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is the 10th year that we've done it, and it has grown every year. The last 2 years, we've had about 2,000 people that have come through the event, and we actually moved it to Wenatchee Valley College to have a little more space for the vehicles we bring in, but also to have more parking, so we can keep growing it more and more and more. A large portion of what we collect today at this event goes back into the community through grants. And the special thing about these grants is they are kids helping kids grants. So we help things like the Performing Arts Center doing summer scholarships for their summer programs, Brave Warrior Project. We have a lot of different youth-oriented nonprofits that apply for our grants, and then we put the money back into the community. You can always go to Women's Service League of North Central Washington online and on Facebook. You can find more information about the scholarships we give, grants, the events that we hold. We have a lot of them. We do My Girlfriend's Closet, prom dress giveaway, diaper drive, Touch a Truck. There's a lot of different ones we do throughout the year. So, and then we also have our open membership will be starting here in the next couple of months. If you're a woman that wants to get involved and participate in amazing events like this, you can go on and find information about that too.
Good stuff. It's always good to see Callie Klein. Finally, on this Monday morning, if you walk around Costco in East Wenatchee, the odds are pretty good. You're going to see the smiling face of McKenna Schwab on Cheerios boxes. The East Wenatchee youth, who suffers from a rare disease that causes the dislocation of all of her joints, was selected as one of 10 national ambassadors for the Children's Miracle Network.
The whole month of May, they are raising money on, General Mills is raising money on from their products and giving it to CMN. So if you go and you look at the General Mills products in Costco, you will see one of the 10 champions' faces on it. I am on one of the Cheerios boxes, and they've got champions on some Cheerios boxes, some yogurt boxes, Nature Valley. We're on everything. We're taking over Costco. So it's very exciting, and any General Mills product you buy for the entire month of May, the proceeds will go to Children's Miracle Network.
McKenna has raised over $1 million for children's charities through her Maxspire Foundation. She admits it was a little weird to see her face on the box of Cheerios.
I had a friend that brought one of the boxes to school yesterday, and she was just carrying it around all day. And we have second period together, and I happened to have a presentation, and it was just sitting on her desk staring at me while I gave my presentation. And it's like, that's so weird.
You have until the end of May to buy a box of Cheerios or other General Mills products at Costco to help benefit the Children's Miracle Network.
Good stuff from Eric Granstrom. It's always good to see McKenna Schwab keep up the fight. She does really good work. The news will come your way with Grant Olson. He's back. He had a three-day weekend, out of 4-day weekend, but Grant will be back doing the news at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. Grant in the anchor chair, also handling the weather forecasting duties, and Eric Granstrom, of course, with your sports report. You can check out the news at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock right here on TV, or as we say in the business, television, or you can watch it on demand whenever you want to by going to our website, ncwlife.com. We'll have the newscast up and running at just about 5 o'clock, so you can watch it on TV, you can watch it on your tablet, on your computer, on your phone, you can watch it at your own convenience. This internet thing, keep an eye on it. I think it's going to be big. I really do. And you can use our website to get a hold of us. Go to ncwlife.com and click on the Contact Us icon, fill out the form, send it to us. We'll get it to you. You can email us directly if you want. I like the email. It's the way to do it. News at ncwlife.com. You can pick up the telephone and give us a call. You can go to our Facebook page. You can go to our Twitter handle. We'd love to hear from you, our viewers. The news. What happened over the weekend? Grant Elson will tell you at 5, 6, and 10 tonight, right here on the NCW Life channel. Overcast and 53 degrees, just about 18 minutes after the hour. Sports. When we come back, you're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley live this morning from Studio 7 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Life channel.
We get to a point where people are really like, okay, I have these weird things going on, and they just lay it all out with us, and you can tell they're like kind of embarrassed, and we're like, we've heard it all, we love this, and we know exactly what you're talking about. And you can tell they're like, you know, they came in thinking, how am I going to talk about this?
To me, there's nothing else in the world quite as special as when a baby is born. And why would I want to do anything else?
With 15,000 square feet to explore, you'll find something special at the Antique Mall at Cashmere. For the do-it-yourselfers and those with a keen eye for making something old, fresh and new again, the Antique Mall at Cashmere is the place to come find your next project. From the coin enthusiast to avid collectors, Antique Mall at Cashmere has treasures in every corner. Come find your treasure today. Antique Mall at Cashmere's friendly staff is here to help. Stop on by today.
And we're back at it, 19 minutes after the hour on this Monday, the 20th day of May. Let's do sports. Well, the Mariners, they salvaged that final game of their 4-game series. They beat Minnesota yesterday. The final was 7-4. Edwin Encarnacion's 3-run home run in the 7th provided the much-needed cushion Seattle would need to snap that 3-game losing streak. Daniel Vogelbach and Mitch Haniger also went deep for the Mariners. Yusei Kikuchi earning his 3rd win of the season on the mound. He went 6 innings. He allowed 1 earned run, 5 hits, 6 strikeouts. Seattle had lost the first 3 games of the series by a combined score of 34-11. Ugh. M's will take their 23-26 record to Texas today. They got the Rangers 5:05 first pitch. Mike Leake starts for Seattle. Texas will go with Mike Minor. In the American League West on Sunday, your finals. Boston edged Houston to salvage the final game of that 3-game series, 4-3. Texas came back twice Sunday to beat St. Louis in 10 innings, 5-4 the final there. Kansas City dumped L.A. 5-1. And Oakland's lead in Detroit is going to have to hold on until September. The game was suspended in the top of the 7th. The A's were leading 5-3. The rains came. Major League Baseball decided the game will be finished when those two teams meet again, but that doesn't happen until September. The weather gods held up just long enough for a decent night for fans Saturday night at the Wenatchee Valley Super Oval. Good racing, too. In the first 55-lap Pro Late Model Main, it was Terry Halverson winning. He wins a lot, Terry does. Josh Ingram won the second 55-lap Pro Late Model Main. In the Thunder Car finale, it was Cody Graham grabbing the checkered flag. And Derek Raptcheft was the winner of the A Main for the Roadrunners. Turnovers, well, they cost the Wenatchee Valley an early lead, and eventually the game against Idaho Saturday night at the Town Toyota Center. The Skyhawks fell in their indoor football game to the undefeated Horsemen, 49-29. These two teams will play again right here in Wenatchee this Saturday at 7 o'clock. The University of Washington softball team advanced to the NCAA Super Regional. On Sunday, the Huskies got a complete game no-hitter from Gabby Plain. They beat Mississippi State 8-0 in the regional championship. It's Plain's third no-hitter of the season. Washington will host Kentucky in the Super Regional later this week. Speaking of softball, the Wenatchee Valley College softball team was 2-out in the NWAC tournament over the weekend in Spokane. The Lady Knights fell to Douglas in the opener 8-7. And then, well, nothing left in the tank really in a loser-out game to Mount Hood. They lost that game 6-0. Douglas is still alive for the championship as the tournament concludes today. Cascades' run in the State 1A soccer tournament came to an end. On Saturday, the Kodiaks fell to visiting Lakeside out of 9 Mile Falls. The final was 3-2. Lakeside advanced to face Vashon Island in the Final Four. Vashon made it to the semifinals with a 2-1 win over Connell. But the Chelan baseball team, they're in the Final Four of the State 1A baseball tournament. Yeah, the Goats beat Hoquiam Saturday morning 5-2 in the first round. Then Chelan overtook Overlake 9-2 in the quarterfinals. That means Chelan will take on University Prep at Yakima County Stadium Friday at 10 a.m. in the semifinals. The other semifinal has Seattle Christian going up against Colville. Brewster back again in the State 2B baseball Final Four. The Bears beat Northwest Christian in the first round Saturday at Ferris High School. The final was 7-0. Brewster then topped Colfax 11-1 in the quarterfinals after the Bulldogs beat Tenasket 2-1. Brewster will take on Asotin in Friday's semifinal at Wheeler Field in Centralia. That's at 7 o'clock. The other semifinal will have Rainier against Kalama. Wenatchee and Eastmont bounced out of the District 6 4A softball tournament. On Friday, the Wildcats fell to West Valley 6-1, while the Panthers lost to Moses Lake 11-1 in the district semifinals Friday. And then Moses Lake shut out West Valley for the district championship Saturday to get the Big Nine's only seed to state. The Chiefs will play Redmond in the first round of the state tournament Friday at noon. Waterville Mansfield stay in the District 5-6 2B tournament. Moses Lake lasted 2 games on Saturdays. We take a look at the Les Schwab scoreboard. The Shockers lost to Kittitas in the first game 10-1, then had their season ended by Liberty Christian 15-7. Kittitas, by the way, went on to win the tournament by beating Dayton Waitsburg 14-12. Brewster, they lost to Lake Roosevelt 8-4. And of course, there was a golf tournament over the weekend, as you very well know. They had the PGA Championship in Long Island, New York. Some guy named Kepka won that. But of course, all anybody here in the Pacific Northwest is talking about is the annual Santa Maya Cup held over the weekend in Spokane. And as you can see, the Flathead Lake Monsters, our friends from Montana, retained the Santa Maya Cup. They defeated our local Wenatchee team. The final was 9.5 to 8.5, despite some brilliant play by your host here. We haven't won the cup in like 4 years. It's getting a little old. But to our friends in Montana, and I know some of them are watching, you won fair and square, even though we didn't get the full 3 rounds of golf in. It was a lot of fun. So I'm told. 24 minutes after the hour, those are just some of the games that people are playing on this Monday. Let's do the obscure holiday. Today is Be a Millionaire Day. Always held on May 20th. You either be a millionaire or start planning to become a millionaire. There's a lot of millionaires in this country. In fact, we're talking households, not people. In the United States, there are about 7.1 million households where they are dollar millionaires. China has 2.4 households that are millionaires. So how do you celebrate Be a Millionaire Day? Get $1 million. There you go. If you don't have $1 million, start the process of making $1 million. There you go. It's Be a Millionaire Day. I'll be dreaming about that. Yeah, I is what I is, and I is what I is, according to Popeye, and he wouldn't lie to me. All of a sudden, I want spinach 25 minutes after the hour. Just one item of interest in Today in History. There's a bunch of old white guys sitting around. This is in Paris, France. They got together on May 20th, 1875, 144 years ago, and they had a big meter convention, is what they called it. 17 nations, the 17 leading nations of the world said, you know, this is crazy because we don't have an international system of units where you measure and weigh things differently all over the world. Why can't we just have one system that everybody uses? Simplify the whole nine yards. So 144 years ago today, they all said everybody should go with the metric system. And well, there are 195 countries on this planet. All of them use the metric system except 3. Liberia, Myanmar, and the United States. I did a little research. This is not the kind of group you want to be in. You don't want to be associated with Liberia and Myanmar, but we are because we don't use the metric system and the rest of the world does. Opportunity lost on this date for this country 144 years ago today. I got some birthdays for you. How about Jimmy Stewart, the legendary James Stewart, one of the most beloved actors in Hollywood history, was born in the state back in 1908, lived a very long and fruitful life until he passed away at the age of 89. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Destiny Rides Again, of course, The Philadelphia Story, It's a Wonderful Life, Harvey, Rear Window, Vertigo, Shenandoah, The Man Who Knew Too Much, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, Winchester 73 was a movie that changed the finances of Hollywood forever. James Stewart was not under contract to any studio. They wanted him to make Winchester 73. He said, I'll tell you, and they wanted to pay, he wanted $200,000 to make the movie Winchester 73, and the studio says that's too much. James Stewart says, how about if I do it for free and you give me a cut of the profits, the box office receipts? And they said, okay, we'll do that. And he ended up making $600,000 by making the movie Winchester 73, and from that point forward, that's the way they do it now in Hollywood. They don't pay you a salary, they just pay you a hunk of the profits, thanks to Mr. Jimmy Stewart. And he was he had a very noted military career, both in World War II and in Vietnam. As a pilot, he rose to the rank of brigadier general. That's pretty good in the United States Air Force. The great James Stewart, born in the state in 1908. And Sherilyn Sarkeesian celebrates a birthday today. Hi, Sherilyn Sarkeesian. You know her as Cher, one of those few people who can just have one name. And everybody knows who you're talking about. She's done it all. She's got a Grammy Award. She got an Academy Award for Moonstruck. Emmy Awards, Golden Globe Awards. Kind of slowing down a little bit, but she's still out there performing. Cher celebrates her 73rd birthday today. It's 27 minutes after the hour. Everyone is entitled to Mike Magnotti's opinion. We'll find out what's on Mike's mind on this Monday. And then when we come back, we're talking bees. Today is World Bee Day, and my all-time favorite beekeeper happens to be a co-worker of mine. I'm talking about the lovely Jane Peak. She and her husband Stan, when they're not working hard or goofing off, they like to do a little beekeeping. We're talking bees with Jane and Stan. When we come back, you're watching Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Hey folks, Carrie from Blueberry Hills in Manson. Remember the good old days? Sunday supper at Grandma's and the best recipes being passed down through generations? Well, come on out to Blueberry Hills and find amazing food with huge portions at family-friendly prices. From Benedict's to burgers to fresh fruit pies, there is something for everyone. Don't miss Blueberry Hills, where you pick, you sit, you eat, and you visit. wildaboutberries.com.
Hi everyone, this is Brent Crowder. After 13 years with the Town Auto Group, I have returned home to Town Toyota where it all started. If you're in the market for a new or used vehicle, let me help you find the right one at the right price. Toyota is reliable and trustworthy, and you can count on me to be the same. When it comes to buying your next car, you can't go wrong with Toyota and Crowder. Ask for Brent at Town Toyota or call me now at 888-5000.
Moving doesn't have to be back-breaking, stressful work. And I don't want you to make a move that way ever again.
Traditionally, you would rent a truck. You would load up your stuff. You would rent a storage unit. You would transport it. And finally, you would unload your stuff yourself. You don't have to lift a finger. We bring the mobile storage unit to you. We drop it off. Then one of our trusted packers can load it for you. We come pick it up and store it securely for you. We bring it back to you. No hassle, no stress.
Where will you be a year from now? You could be working as a medical assistant. The Charter College Medical Assistant Certificate Program gets you work ready in 10 months. Add 5 more months to earn an associate degree. we prepare you with hands-on training and support you after graduation with job search help and interview skills. Institutionally accredited by the Accrediting Bureau of Health Education Schools, Charter has been training healthcare professionals for more than 30 years. Charter College. We work to get you to work.
Welcome to Boswell's Home Furnishings. Come in and explore their expansive 2-story showroom at your leisure. You'll find comfort and inspiration for every room in your home. Boswell's has been filling customer furniture needs for decades, from contemporary to the classics, for living room, dining room, and bedroom sets. Purchase in-store or create your own unique style. With Boswell's complimentary design service, your vision is their passion. Where would you like to start?
Dear Mary Maids, just got home from a trade show and I didn't have time to pick up the house. Kids made chili. Jeff did a mud run. Oh, and Winston shredded Teddy's bed. Again, please clean it the best you can. Oh, except for the statue Max made for me. Thanks, Abby.
Hi, Abby. Clean kitchen, clean bath, clean floor, naughty cat, poor Teddy. The statue is precious. You should keep it forever. See you next time, Mary Maids.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, like I've said before, 75% of us folks here in the good old US of A call ourselves Christian. Well, that's fine, I guess, but what's really tragic is that there are people who don't realize that the true test of loving and sacrificing for others and doing unto others as you would have them do unto you, etc., that's first and foremost to be displayed at home to your family. You know, it really doesn't matter who outside your family thinks you're a wonderful person. If your spouse and your kids don't think so, or if your parents and siblings think you're a jerk, you're missing it as far as your Christianity and your love for your fellow man is concerned. If it isn't first and foremost demonstrated to those closest to you, let's face it, it's meaningless. This is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
I'm Tom from Alpine Air Heating and Cooling. At Alpine Air, we think of ourselves as customer service-oriented retailers. When you make an appointment, please visit our store, meet our people, see our shop. We are serious about heating and air conditioning. Carrier and Alpine Air are offering huge factory rebates and financing options for all your needs. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Alpine Air. Call for your free replacement estimate. Heat and air, call Alpine Air, 662-6846.
When you visit Harmony Meadows for tennis or their activity center, you need to drop by the Love All Cafe. Drink in a locally roasted Blue Star espresso or enjoy one of their all-natural smoothies. Show your guests the breathtaking mountains and surrounding orchards while enjoying a delightful and healthy lunch. Love All Cafe features varied noshes as well as microbrews and an excellent selection of wines. The Love All Cafe, located at Harmony Meadows in the Chelan Valley, just outside Manson.
Is search engine optimization right for my business? Maybe. Studies show the first and second search results get 50% of all the clicks. But you have to fight national chains to get there. If the user has to scroll down to find you, tough luck. You could hide a dead body on page 2 and the whole zombie apocalypse on page 3. Or you could spend less and get an ad in the Impact Big Print phone book, giving local businesses a chance to shine.
Impact Directories. Bigger print, better book.
Choose the pros, Alignment Pros. When your vehicle needs brakes, shocks, struts, or alignment, choose the experts in their field. Alignment Pros and Express Lube with a 5-star rating. The work they perform on your vehicle is as impeccable as their shop. With state-of-the-art equipment, Alignment Pros can handle all large or small vehicles, specialty cars, lifted or lowered. Alignment Pros does them all. Keep your car in top shape at Alignment Pros and Express Lube in East Wenatchee.
Welcome back to Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley on this Monday. Every professional office environment needs a director of first impressions, the person who you see when you walk into the lobby of any particular business organization. And our director of first impressions is the lovely and talented Jane Peak, who has an interesting sideline, an interesting hobby. She and her husband Stan, when they're not goofing off, they're beekeepers, and they're good at it. And Jane and I have been chit-chatting about this for quite some time. Finally said, what was it, Wednesday of last week?
Yep.
At the office, said, why don't you come do the show? We'll talk bees. Because today's World Bee Day. Did you even know who Anton Jasna is?
No,
he was apparently the pioneer of beekeeping. He was like the first beekeeper. He was born in the state in 1734. That's why you don't know him, but Stan does. And so because it's the guy who basically came up with beekeeping, they have today's World Bee Day. And welcome to the program. It's Jane and Stan.
Thanks, Dan.
Good to see you here.
Good to be here.
You're first timer, so tell me a little bit about yourself. We'll start with you, Stan.
Let's
Introduce
see.
yourself.
Well, I'm Stan, and this is my wife Jane, and I've been a beekeeper about 6 or 7 years. And the number of hives that I have varies from a couple to 20 or so.
Well, that's interesting. We'll start out with that right now. Okay. Is there good years and bad years for beekeeping, like crops or anything else?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Not only in quantity, but in flavor. It's like wine. Some years are good years for honey, and some years are not so good.
Okay.
So,
Jane, I know who Jane is, but our television family doesn't. Help yourself out there, Jane.
I'm Jane Peak. I work here at NCW Life and greet people, answer the phone, do the playlists, and generally keep things calm.
She runs the joint. I'll just say it right now. She's
keep everybody in line. Yep.
So you guys, was this a collaborative effort when you met and started seeing each other, and eventually, they got married because what causes that? Were you beekeepers before that, or is it? How did you guys get into beekeeping both separately and as a couple?
Yeah, no, it was after. We've been together, had kids and everything, and so this is just a hobby that came up later. But go ahead.
kind of got interested in it at the Chelan County Fair. Met a young man who actually didn't have bees, but he was at the bee presentation that they had and talking about different things that he was going to do, and one of them was get bees. He had a beehive but no bees. Anyway, and it just got me interested in it, and so started doing some reading, and my timing was pretty good because then it gave me all winter to do a little bit of reading, and then in the spring, that's when you get your bees.
So I guess how do you start becoming a beekeeper? That's a legitimate question. Hey, I think this might be a fun hobby. I got friends who do it. I'm going to become a beekeeper. Now what? What do you do? Get a hive, I suppose.
You got to get your equipment.
Right.
Okay. You got to do a little bit of reading, or a lot of reading. It helps if you know somebody that's in the hobby or business. It really does kind of keep things moving along.
Well, that's where the bee group comes in, the ncwbees.org. We meet twice a month, kind of. We have a business and educational meeting, and then we also have a bee chat where we get together and just visit. And that's what they call a bee chat. And but there are a lot of people in there that are really helpful, that'll come out and help you get your hive set up. They'll do hive inspections and help with any problems that you might have. So
it's also a really good resource to get bees. So every year in the spring, usually around Easter time, they get together as a group and order bees from around the area, and they all come in at one day, and it's just kind of a big, somewhat of a show, and everybody gets their bees and takes them home, and
So if I just built a hive in my backyard and just put out a sign and said, "Come here, bees! Come here, bees!" Ain't gonna work.
No,
it's not gonna work.
It's not impossible, but unlikely.
Yeah.
Is it for the novice who needs to start on the ground floor? I guess is it an expensive hobby to get going, to start the process of becoming a beekeeper? Is it a chunk of change, Dan?
No, there's ways of getting into it, actually relatively inexpensive. There's a type of beehive called a top bar hive or a Kenya hive, and you can build that out of almost anything. And it's for a 1 or 2 hive situation, it's not a bad way to go. But if you start down the path of the little white square box and so on and so forth, it can add up a little bit, as you go.
That's about 300 to get
Probably
set up.
that'd be a good
and
estimate.
the bees and the equipment.
So we have a disagreement already. Stan and Jane are fighting. I'm just kidding. First thing I learned is that the common honeybee that we see all over our area isn't from our area. In fact, it's not even from the Western
Yeah,
Hemisphere,
so
is
the
it?
1700s when they started
Did they like
disseminating
hop on
bees.
board a ship or two and made it over with the
Oh,
rats
somebody
and
probably
things?
brought them
Yeah.
over in a box, and
Okay.
you
Yeah.
know, was the intentions of keeping bees since there weren't any here, and
Well, there were bees, but not the Apis mellifera, which is
Can
the...
you say that on television, Jane?
I don't know.
We'll find
So-
out. Are we
Yeah.
are we still on the air, Megan?
Are we censored?
Apparently you can say that on the air.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, so that's the European honeybee, and that's the one that we all have now. There are different versions of it, like
Yeah.
the Carniolan and the Italians are
yeah.
usually the type that we get. But
Okay. So you get your bees. I take it there's commercial bee people out there who show
Yes.
up in big trucks and
Yep.
here's your bees. That's how
Yeah,
that
right.
works.
pretty much.
And
yeah.
that I suppose that costs money. I mean, everybody needs to.
Just as a ballpark figure, around $150 for a box of bees and a queen.
which is
Okay.
about 10,000 bees in one box, and it's a small box, like a shoebox size.
But inside of that is 10,000 bees.
Mhm.
you
And the
got
queen you
The
get.
queen and the other all the other
Yeah,
ones.
that gets you started with a hive. But
Okay.
we decided, or Stan suggested, that 2 hives is a good idea. That way you have more options. So if one hive is weak, you can maybe take some baby bees from your other hive that's stronger and put them in there to boost the content of your
How do you know you're having a good hive year? How do you know everybody's healthy and happy inside that box?
Yeah, you have to watch them.
Quantity is just, you open it up and just look and see, is there more bees than this one over here? And that's the other reason for having 2 hives is that it gives you perspective. Okay, if this one over here is just doing awesome, you open it up and the bees just boil out, well, you're doing well. And you got another one that, they all kind of hide down in the box and don't want to come out and say hi, well, then, it's time to do some work.
And the baby bees too.
Right.
If the queen's laying, and you do hive inspections, you go in and check and see, and you take the frame out and you look for the eggs, and if there aren't any, then yeah, you have a problem.
And do you have to do that every day? Is it-
Yeah.
No, good rule of thumb is about every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you
sometimes
don't want to.
more, sometimes less.
You want to
depending
see
on
how
the
they're
type of
doing,
bees.
but you don't want to.
Right. Disturb them too
Like the
much.
nurse go in and take your blood pressure every 4 hours.
Right.
That's unnecessary.
No.
So.
No.
How is your blood pressure, by the way, Stan? Have you had that checked lately?
No, I don't. If you don't know, you don't. You don't look,
Don't
you
worry
don't know.
about it.
Yeah.
I guess the obviously you like it or you wouldn't do it.
Right.
What is it? Why do you like beekeeping? Give me the fun element in there.
Well, for me, it's a little probably different than most people. It gives me a lot of opportunities to experiment and to try something new and to build things that I don't normally do, and that's kind of the hobby for me. And it's also about the challenge. It is a challenge to keep them alive and keep them moving forward, and so that's the part I like. One of my things that I have said, it's been close a couple of times, but since I have started, I have never had to buy bees but the first time. So they keep, keep them growing on their
You're a
own.
natural.
Well, I had a
looked at me
rough
like,
year
"Oh,
this
God."
year, so, this year was a little rough. Yeah,
So,
Do you have your own duties? Does Stan do one thing and Jane does something else to maintain the hive, or
Nope, he does most of it. I just kind of help with stuff and kind of help with the jar and the honey and.
The parts, I'll go through and I'll be looking, and one of the things you do sometimes, because it helps for some part of the process, is you open it up and you pull a frame up, and there could be 1,000, 2,000 bees on this one frame, and you're trying to find one bee. You're looking for the queen. And so sometimes it can be easier with 2 people, one on one side of the frame and one on the other. And so it really does help to have 2 people kind of sorting through all of these bees moving around on there on a regular basis. And so.
But you got to be careful not to tick off the drones and the workers as you're checking out the queen bee, because you can get troubled in there, right? I mean, you want to see how the queen's doing, but you don't want to. You don't want to get the drones and the workers
No,
all
the
mad
drones
at you.
don't matter. They don't even sting.
Right, but
They don't have a stinger.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the workers do.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And they could get an attitude sometimes if you get too close to the queen.
Correct.
Right, and that's
Yeah.
which is why you wear this gear. Let's talk
Right.
about the gear. We got
Okay.
some stuff here.
Yep.
You got that, Jane. You got the. Go ahead and grab that stuff.
So this is kind of interesting. This is the differences between, you know, how comfortable you can be. Now, a lot of times this will be all I wear, okay, just the veil and short sleeves and so on. Sometimes I'll put a jacket on, but it depends. Like this time of the year, they're not too cranky. They're pretty easy to deal with. Yeah. Later on in the fall and stuff, bees are happier when they're working, and in the fall there's not a lot for them to do, so then they start to get a little more cranky and so on and so forth.
Well, they have stuff to protect too. They
Right.
have the honey is in there, and the baby bees are in there.
Right.
And so, and then when they're not happy if it's raining, hot, windy. I mean, there's lots of times when
It sounds like they're pretty temperamental.
Yeah, well, they can
Yeah.
be if it's really windy or if any of those things happen. You don't want to open the hive up when it's hot and you have to work on it. They can get cranky.
Yeah, and they'll teach you when to do it and not to.
Yeah, they
you
have
know.
guard bees that kind of come up and look at you, and and then they'll start flying at you and bouncing off of you. And one thing people should know, they don't want to sting you because they die right after they sting you. So it's more protecting their hive, and if you pinch them or something, of course, they're going to try to sting you. It's self-preservation.
And obviously there's some mating going on. I mean, the drones are there fertilizing the queen, and you definitely don't want to be around for that, right?
Well, no, you don't see
Yeah.
it because it only happens once. She flies one time when you first get we get queens that are already fertilized, but if you have a new queen that hatches out, she flies one time. There's a bunch of the drones, the male bees that hang out in a group, and they watch for these queens to fly by. And then usually up to like 10 will fertilize the queen, and she only does that one time.
Wow.
And that lasts her for her whole life of laying eggs. So, yeah.
And
And
it
that's
doesn't
all they're
happen
good
in the
for.
hive. It happens outside
they're
the hive,
flying.
and that way she's not mating with her brothers.
Yeah, there's some
So-
privacy involved. You
Yeah,
understand
yeah.
that. So,
Yeah.
so what? Just a couple of glasses of wine and a Barry White liquor. How does that work? How do you know when they're done? Is she leaning back and smoking a cigarette? Or how does that...
She comes back.
Okay.
Comes back to the hive. She knows
Okay.
she comes out of the hive and she orientates herself. So she says, "Okay, I remember where I'm at," and then she takes off and she flies around. She goes out to the bee bar and meets all the guys, and then comes back home and then
That's
from
it.
then on,
So, yeah.
she's got one job, and that's to lay eggs.
And the drones, that's their only job
Yeah,
is
is
to mate
they-
with the queen, and then they kick them out in the fall.
And then they die.
Yeah.
And then they die.
And they make new ones. The hive makes new ones. In the
Talk about, and we've all talked about this before, because bees have had a bad go of it recently. There's been some significant issues. They don't really know, to my understanding, what's going on. They know if it's a virus that got introduced and now it's spreading to other hives, or if it's just the cycle of life. There's good years and bad years, but lately there's been a lot of bad years. There's some problems going on right now, isn't there?
Right. I think they do know. They just don't know exactly how to deal with it. There's a couple of things that probably the biggest that we actually have some control over is a pest that wasn't in the United States until the 80s. And in the 80s, somebody brought some bees in from Europe that had a varroa mite, and they've spread across the United States, all over Canada, et cetera, et cetera. And these mites they suck the juices out of the bees. They're a parasite. And they, not only do they do that, but they also weaken their immune system and introduce, different diseases and stuff to the bees. And that's probably the biggest issue we deal with right now. Then there's also pesticides and herbicides and so on that are
Which
taking
is a theory that people have put forward, and that's one of
Right.
the problems that.
Right.
But are they discovering the problems and discovering how to alleviate the situations that you talked about and getting them back to where they should be, or is it still a work in progress?
It's still a work in progress. In Europe, they approached it differently. One of the things that they talk about is a neonicotinoid. It's a
Is that the systemic one?
It's a what do I want to say here? A pesticide that they use here in the United States They outlawed it in Europe because they take a different approach. They suspected that it was a cause of some of these issues, and so they took the other approach is prove that it's not. In the United States, prove that it is.
Okay.
It's just the different way of doing things.
It's hard to prove a negative, though. So
Right.
Kind of put you right behind on the 8 ball. But we need bees. No
Yes.
bees, and we got all kinds of problems if bees have a bad year, don't they?
Correct.
It leads to, there's a domino effect.
Right. You don't your fertilization or not? Yeah, your fertilization of your plants and so on and so forth. Pollination, doesn't happen as well. There are natural pollinators, but we've become kind of used to having honeybees do it for us because we can kind of move them where we want. Where the natural ones, they go where they want. Yeah. So bees are real handy. Say, okay, this crop's ready. Let's take it there. Where the other ones will just show up if they happen to be in the area. Plus, we're spraying for bugs, so you can kind of manipulate taking bees there. Then the natural ones are just going to show up, and it may show up right when you've just sprayed it. So it works.
For the amateur hobbyist beekeeper, I guess physically where you have your hives located in your backyard, I'm assuming it's in your backyard, not in your basement.
Some of them,
is
sure.
important, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
you want sunshine is a good thing. I prefer to put mine where they get morning sunshine because it gets them up. It actually wakes them up and gets them out working sooner. And then evening shade because our afternoons here in the Wenatchee Valley are so warm, then they aren't spending all of their energy trying to keep the hive cool. Because they will spend a lot of time and energy regulating the temperature of the hive, keeping it cool or keeping it or warming it up. So
right now, is this the busiest time of the year where they're out, because there's blooms and they're out pollinating all kinds of different things, and then once everything's pollinated, do they go on vacation? What do they do?
Pretty much just hang out,
Okay.
They keep looking. They always are looking. They're always working, but for the most part, this is their big chance for fame.
Yeah.
So
Jade, you were going to add something?
They're making honey too.
Yeah. Well, that's let's move on to the real best part about it is that we have Stan and Jane's honey here. Actually, I got a couple of honeys. I think I just lost our FCC license again. The Loomis Lady has been on my show a bunch of times. She talking about her little project. She has her own little backyard deal, and she sells this all over the Wenatchee Valley. I think for $10, and it helps to. The money goes to the Lupus Foundation, so I've always kept that because she's a class act. You have your own brand, Jane.
Right, that helps support our bee habit. to build the hives and do the experiments and all the things we need to.
And this is something when is the harvest for honey? Constantly or?
For the most part, right around the 1st of August.
Okay.
So, for a couple of reasons. It's warm enough there that everything, honey, is a lot, flows a lot better in August and so on. And by that time, for the most part around here, our season's over. There's not much for the bees to put away, but there's still just a little bit more, in the fall and so on, so they can get their stores ready for winter.
Right. And we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But there are different types of honey, right?
Yes.
Correct. I mean, is this just regular, just honey?
Well, we just call it wildflower honey because we don't know where they're getting it. It could be, there's all kinds of plants, not just flowers. They get it from sagebrush and from trees and wherever they want to get the nectar and the pollen. And then they put it all together in the hive and make it into honey. They actually process it their own way.
Is it safe to say that no two jars are exactly alike? I mean, is that a batch of honey a batch of honey?
Yeah, no, batches are different, but like the jars, of course, one batch would be the same. But no, like it depends. Here in East Wenatchee, when we get our honey is going to be different from somebody up at Fancher Heights.
Okay.
Or in Malaga because of the kind of plants that are around.
So when you go to the store or farmers markets or mini makers fair or whatever it is, and you see the amateur beekeepers out there selling their honey, how do you know what you're getting besides talking to the experts?
Really, you don't. Like our neighbor has blueberries, so we tell people, well, it could, it makes sense. That's where they'd go because it's easy and it's right across the street.
And he's got a couple acres of blueberries, so and he has blackberries, and so there's probably at certain times of the year there's going to be more of that in there. And that's the same with if you buy a jar of honey and it says, what is it?
Buckwheat?
Buckwheat,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it's because they have the bees where that is prominent. So therefore, it's more than likely that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they'll go where it's easier. So if it's sitting in a field that's got all of canola or something like that, then that's
The odds are
probably
pretty good.
the odds are pretty
the-
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
most of the beekeepers here just call it wildflower because we don't know where they go.
We don't know where they came from. But
Yeah,
say
that's
somebody,
a lot.
if it was all pollinated from a bunch of wildflowers as opposed to a cherry orchard or whatever the case
Right.
may be, it's going to have some different.
Yeah, well,
different
very
elements
much
to it.
so.
Okay.
Yeah, very much
Like
so.
wine,
Okay.
just different nuances.
Oh, okay.
the-
Did you
yeah.
bring any wine by chance? Just out of
No,
curiosity? Okay.
sorry.
So you go out and you sell this stuff, right? And you have your little groups of what's your group again? Your NCW Beekeeper. What is
Yes, North Central Washington Beekeepers Association.
it? Okay. And when you kids get together, you probably have just wild parties, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Out of
Yeah,
chaos.
yeah.
And so on weekends, you just drive around and you sell this stuff, and for $10 a pop, by the way, it's good stuff. I know because Jane gives these out for Christmas presents.
Oh, yeah.
Every year, and then you take the proceeds and you start another hive, right?
Correct.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
go to dinner.
And in the winter, so the fall comes, they're done. You've got the honey in August and September, and then what happens to the hive? They just kind of hibernate for the colder ones. They just kind of all
Kind of.
huddle around.
Kind
the
of.
tree?
They never
away.
sleep.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
they in the wintertime to keep warm, they don't heat the entire hive, they heat each other. And so they're like penguins. So the cold ones are on the outside, the warm ones on the inside, and they just all winter long they just rotate.
And the queen is always in the middle. Though.
Yeah.
You gotta keep
And
her
so they
warm.
just rotate, in and out, and that's how they keep each other warm, and they just sit there and eat honey and shiver.
And they use their muscles for flying to keep warm. They
Okay.
kind of
Like shiver.
yeah.
But you don't disturb the hive at all, right? You
No.
just, that's
In the
it.
winter, you
Once
don't
it drops
open it.
below,
Yeah.
pretty much below 40 degrees, I don't open the hives.
Okay.
They're kind of on their own
Okay.
at that
Yeah.
point.
But in the peak of the season, do you move your backyard hives around? You talked about morning sun and evening sun and
No, on a daily basis, no. I just try and find that one spot that kind of has both, but I will move them to different spots,
Yeah, he has hives around different areas. Like we have some in Malaga, and we had some in Leavenworth. And then in the wintertime, though, in Malaga, where they are, they don't have any sun at all winter. So he usually moves those somewhere where they're going to have some sun to help them a little
Do
bit.
they get pretty upset when it comes time to harvesting the honey? When you start lifting up the things and start scraping it away with your handy dandy little tool there? Are they going, "Hey, you're
Really?
taking my food"?
They don't really.
Yeah,
get that.
you
We
can-
just take the whole frame out,
Uh-huh.
shake the bees off, and take
Okay.
it in the house.
And then do they almost immediately begin to replenish the?
They try.
Yeah.
If there's something available, they will immediately start to refill everything. It's just their job.
We're almost out of time. Are your
Yes.
neighbors cool with having when you got into the thing, you said, "Hey, Bob and Janet, we're putting in a beehive back here. Just thought we'd let you know."
Well, the one neighbor with the blueberries, he thinks it's great because he gets his
Right.
blueberries pollinated.
And the
So-
neighbors on the other side too.
And
they
then
don't
neighbors
mind
on the other side, they don't mind. They get a jar of honey every now and then. It kind of sweetens the deal for them. And bees have a great talent for just almost immediately disappearing. You won't see a great big bunch of bees anywhere. The only time you'll see it is once in a while. For some reason, they like certain types of water. More so than your
like a hot tub or a
yeah,
swimming pool
the
or-
drippings off the hot tub around the edges. For some reason, they like that. Sometimes they'll get into a neighbor's a hummingbird feeder. So, they're bee safe honeybird feeders. So usually, if it's worth it, if you have a neighbor that's their hummingbirds are, you're drinking it all their honey.
Jay, we're almost out of time. You got 15 seconds. Plug your little organization one more time if people want to get involved.
Okay, yeah, it's ncwbees.org. You can go to our website and see when the business meetings are. The first half hour, there will be people there at 5 o'clock at the Douglas County
Jane,
Firehouse.
you got to go to work, Jane.
Yes,
We're out of time.
yes, yeah, I got
Provided
lots
the
of
show
things
isn't
to do.
canceled, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.